when it comes to competitive, Zapdos is basically the legendary bird of Kanto that is actually considered top tier. And it really comes down to the fact that this Pokemon has great speed and special attack to go together with decent stats everywhere else. I mean, it is a legendary after all, so it ranks number 9 out of all 251 Pokemon in terms of base stats. However, this is also our second video where we're testing out the Bright Powder, an item that was on all of the legendaries when traded up from the Kanto games to the Gen 2 games, that has the effect of giving them an 8% chance to have their opponent's attacks miss. Basically like a weaker version of having an evasion or accuracy drop set up on their opponent. And in the previous run with Articuno, we found that while yes, the Bright Powder did have an effect in some places, most of the situations where we were farming for misses, we actually were just using the move Mud Slap because it was required to actually be able to get through opponents like Jasmine. And Zapdos, I think, is going to be even more so that we're going to have to rely on Mud Slap strats, not just the Bright Powder, because electric and flying type are resisted by so many opponents as we go through the game. So honestly, it might be the case where that's the only way for us to actually progress. However, we do have one boon incoming from Gen 1 with this Pokemon, that we get to start with its Gen 1 starting moveset. And in Gen 1, Zapdos starts with the move Drill Peck. Even if you use something like the Trainer Fly Glitch to catch this Pokemon all the way down at level 5, it would have Drill Peck, effectively the strongest flying type move from the very beginning of the game. Pair that together with the fact that it at least has Stab Thundershock at the start of the game, and it can get access to Thunder if we really need it via the game corner, it might turn out that this Pokemon isn't that bad outside of opponents like Jasmine, Bruno's Onix, and maybe when we get to Brock in Kanto. But we're just gonna have to find out how it actually works out, so let's get into this. So today, as we step into Professor Elm's lab, he's gonna give us another Pokemon that was dropped off by Professor Oak when he came to visit. It's time to get access to our Zapdos. Because we would just completely destroy both the Chikorita and the Totodile lines, I think the only choice is to go up against the Cyndaquil line, since we're at least not going to have super effective moves against it. So I will go ahead and pick up my Zapdos in the Chikorita ball, and let's just see how this goes from here. With that, we have gotten access to Bright Dose, the Zapdos from Gen 1 that is running with Drill Peck and Thundershock from the start of the game. Now, because this is kind of a little 4-part series that I'm doing with all of the Gen 1 legendaries to see just how they do with the Bright Powder, we're going to be comparing this run up to the Articuno based on time and score, because we really want to find out just how much better Zapdos is, or maybe it turns out that Articuno is actually the better Gen 1 legendary. I'm honestly just not sure, but I'm predicting that Zapdos will end up being better just because it starts with a much stronger flying move. It's not going to have to use Fly throughout the entire run, so it's probably going to be the better bird, but we'll just have to see. For now though, we're going to take on rival number 1. He leads off with his Cyndaquil, of course, and Drill Peck is the best play. It's going to be a 2-hit KO, but it does massive damage, and with that same type attack bonus, I think we're going to do just fine. And because we're going up against Articuno, we're going to name our rival Arctic here. We'll just kind of keep it as whichever Pokemon is currently in the lead at the end. But with that, we're ready to get into this run proper and just see how this one actually goes. Obviously, for the first 2 gyms, I expect to have a really easy time with this Zapdos, because obviously we're going to be able to just stunt on Faulkner with our Stab Electric type moves, and then when we get to Bugsy, the super effective Drill Peck I think will be just too much for any of his Pokemon. Whitney's probably the first time that we're actually going to have any sort of challenge from a gym leader, but even then, by that point, we will have access to Thunder Wave, which should be enough to make that fight pretty darn trivial as well. So let's just get into this and see how it actually goes. Now, of course, I am doing this with live commentary, so there will be slight delays here and there, but we are running on max DVs. This is the strongest possible Zapdos. We're ready to get into the gym and try our hand at Honest Abe here. He leads off with his Spearow. Thundershock is the strongest play here in this case, though technically both of our moves are like the same power. We should probably just go for Drill Peck because it's a little bit stronger. It's a 2-hit KO on that Spearow either way. And since Honest Abe isn't going to be any sort of challenge, let's get straight to Faulkner at the end. So So Faulkner, attempt number 1 right here. We're going to get into this fight against his Pidgey, which has lower special defense, so Thundershock is the play. It doesn't quite get the one-hitter, but it is a 2-hit KO, and he only did 3 damage with the tackle, so we get through and get to level 8. Now against the Pidgeotto, we're just going to stick with the Thundershock and get an easy 2-hit KO victory there. Faulkner never stood a chance as we get the Zephyr badge. That, of course, also powers up the move Drill Peck, so we're going to be even stronger as we go down south now. So this is why I think that Zapdos will probably be the best of the Gen 1 legendary birds, at least for a while. Having access to such a strong same type move and having physical and special coverage against most opponents means that we're always going to have moves that are strong enough to get through. One of the biggest issues that we ran into in that Articuno run previously, which you should definitely go back and watch, was the fact that we didn't have a strong enough physical move to hit the rival's ghost Pokemon, meaning we were dealing with Curse in a lot of spots. However, with Drill Peck, I think we're going to be doing significantly more damage to that Haunter, and that's going to give us what we need to actually get the one-hit KOs. And we're going to be able to test that out pretty quick here on rival number 2. Of course, before we can do that though, we've got to go and show our Gen 1 Pokemon to Kurt, which is going to get him so incredibly excited. In fact, he got so excited about Zapdos and the fact that Thunder could become perfectly accurate if he just gave us the Rain Dance TM that he ran down into the Slowpoke well, but then he hurt himself and we have to take on Team Rocket in his stead. And of course, with no issues, we make it to Jamesy Proton at the end. He's going to send out his coughing. We just go for a Drill Peck here. It did pretty decent damage, but I guess Thundershock might be the better play. But honestly, Drill Peck just seems to be doing a lot more. Either way, it's a 3-hit KO there. We get through and get to level 11, and now we can go stunt on Bugsy's gym, but I really want to try the rival first, just to see how much stronger Drill Peck is here than what we were dealing with previously. In the last run, of course, against the Cyndaquil, Ice Beam was not doing enough from the Articuno, but here Drill Peck might just get us an easy victory. So first up, we've got the Ghastly. I go for Drill Peck. It's not quite a 1-hit KO, but we do get a 2-hitter there. Out next comes the Quilava. We can go for the Drill Peck. Ember did decent damage, 9 damage there, but it's not going to be enough. And we get an Ember miss thanks to the Bright Powder. He retaliates with a Smoke Screen, but that's perfectly fine. We're going to now get to the final Zubat. We miss with Thundershock turn 1. It confuses us, but then we hit the next 2 Thundershocks, getting the easy victory and getting the level 13, where we can now learn Thunder Wave. And with the rival easily defeated, now we can just make our way into Bugsy's gym, which should be a 1-hit KO fest, but let's see how this actually goes. Sure enough, we make our way straight to Bugsy, still on minimum battles, no issues as we get into this one, and I think we've got a super easy victory. I just want to see if we 1-hit KO against the Scyther. Out first, we've got the Metapod. We go for the Drill Peck and one-shot. We get to level 14 off of that Pokemon. That brings out the Scyther. It outspeeds and goes for Fury Cutter, but we go for Drill Peck, and at least the crit did get the one-hitter. Now we've got Kakuna, which never stood a chance, as we easily get through and get to level 15. So that whole section was significantly easier with this Zapdos than it was with the previous Articuno, which gives me a lot of confidence as we move forward. Now we do have to take on Whitney with her rollouts, but I think that we're going to get through just fine thanks to the Thunder Wave paralysis. We'll just have to see how it actually works out though. I'm going to stick to my same routing that I've done in other minimum battles runs by going down into the basement first, just because I want to make sure that we get access to the coin case and we can get all of our HM Pokemon here. But what I'm really interested to check in on is how we do against the super nerd Tatu right here, since he does have 3 Magnemites on the team. Let's see how much damage we actually can do with the Drill Peck. It does very, very little. Thundershock is technically stronger there, and that's probably our best move against these Pokemon. Still, I don't think we're going to have any issues getting through here since we're only neutrally affected by electric type moves. So sure enough, we take him down nice and easily. We can get access to the coin case. We'll get our Abra and our Machop here, and then make our way into Whitney's gym. We'll also keep it in mind that we'll need the coin case later on if we're going to get access to Thunder, since we're definitely not going to be able to get to level 73 in this one, unless we end up having to do a massive amount of grinding. That slow level up group is going to keep us far away from that level. Anyhow, we have made it now to Whitney's gym, and I think we're going to be able to get through the the gym leader just fine, but let's see how it actually works out. So Whitney, attempt number 1, she leads off with the Clefairy. I'm going to go for Drill Peck right here. It does over half, and we knock it out in 2 hits. Out next comes the Miltank. I'm going to Thunder Wave on this Pokemon, trying to get some misses due to paralysis, and it actually missed the very first rollout, which is super lucky. Now it's fully paralyzed, and we can see the first Drill Peck did 20 damage here, so this will be a 4-hit KO. But if it just stays paralyzed, we will win. It stomps, but that's not enough. We take Whitney down on the first attempt with no issues. And with that, we're ready to move on towards Morty and rival number 3. Rival 3 was the spot where the last run got a little random, but this time I think it's going to be super easy because of the fact that we're going to have that Drill Peck and we have more than enough speed to outspeed that Haunter. We'll have to see if it works out though. For now, I will get access to Kenya the Spearow in this one because unlike the last run, we will not be learning the move Fly with our Zapdos. It's simply unnecessary because of the fact that we have Drill Peck, which is just hands down the better move in every way, shape, and form. What I will be doing, however, is picking up a lot of items because I want to make sure that when the time is right, I am able to come back here to Goldenrod and get access to Thunder if I need it. We'll typically have enough money by the time we get to the Pokemon League to actually afford that move. I'm also going to make sure to get Rock Smash here because while it's not necessarily going to be a great move, it could be useful when we get to Jasmine to at least give us another damage dealing move there that could lower her defense, since she obviously has massive defense with her Pokemon, though I think Mud Slap is going to be the main play in that section. For now though, we'll just come in here and fight against the Kimono Girls, which shouldn't be too difficult. We've got such strong moves that we should just be able to knock them out within a few hits, but let's see if any of them actually pose any difficulty. Honestly, if any of them would, it would be this Jolteon right here, but Drill Peck, even with the resistance, is doing more than enough damage. It's just a simple 3-hit KO to knock that one out, and we can get to level 20 as we get access to the Surf HM, and now it's time to just go take on rival number 3. I'm most worried here about the Magnemite, of course, but I think we're going to be able to find a way through. Let's just see if it actually works though. So rival 3, attempt number 1, he leads off with the Haunter. I go for Drill Peck, and I just missed getting the 1-hit KO. It survived with 1 HP, but then it went for Spite, so we get to knock it out on the next turn. Oh, that's ridiculous. Now against this Magnemite, our best play is to go for Thunder Shock since it's only 2 times resisted, not 4 times resisted, and that's going to allow us to get what looks like a 4-hit KO on this Pokemon, but then we get a nice crit, so it's a 3-hitter there. Out next comes Quillava. We'll go for the Drill Peck that does about half, and we knock it out in 2. Finally, we've got the Zubat. We can use either Thunder Shock or Drill Peck, and we just destroy that Pokemon. So it was super easy getting through rival number 3, and we're on to Morty. And it's important to note that with that Haunter surviving on 1 HP, if we simply went to the Lighthouse and fought the required trainers there, we would gain an additional level, and at that point, that would be a 1-hit KO. Unless we got like a really bad damage roll on a range, it should be consistent at that point. And now as we get into Morty's gym, I don't expect to have any trouble with the randos thanks to the Drill Peck, so let's get straight to the gym leader himself. And thanks to the fact that Drill Peck has a lot of PP, we don't even need to backtrack out here. Let's get straight to Morty, where the only real issue is that I think we would prefer to have something like a Mint Berry here, but let's see if the Bright Powder can get us the misses we need against his Gengar. Of course, he's gonna lead off with a Ghastly, which I'm pretty sure we just 1-hit KO. Sure enough, we do. Out comes the first Haunter. We'll Drill Peck there as well, also getting a 1-hitter on that Pokemon. So Gengar is out third. We go Drill Peck and did over half. It misses Hypnosis, and that guarantees we knock that Pokemon out as we get to level 24. The final Haunter never stood a chance. It just gets 1 shot. So unlike Articuno that had to go down to the Lighthouse to get through this section, Zapdos just comes straight in and stunts on everything. It can take on the hardest trainers in each section without really needing any help, and it's all just because that Drill Peck is so incredibly OP. Effectively, in just about any situation where Drill Peck and Thunder Shock are effectively the same power due to neutral damage versus super effective damage, we just prefer to use use Drill Peck because it's going to do more damage to our opponents, since it does have access to that badge boost from Faulkner all the way back at the beginning of the game. That of course means we're also going to have that badge boost as we get down to fight against Chuck. I'm only going to come into the lighthouse here because it's going to be more efficient in terms of routing. We won't have to backtrack to go through the lighthouse and then go back to Cyanwood again. But honestly, I don't think we actually need these lighthouse battles in order to get through Chucky Boy. I'm pretty sure our super effectiveness is going to be just fine there with Drill Peck. Now we do get to level 25 here in the lighthouse, which gets us agility. Again, I'm not sure if we actually need that move. I'm going to keep it though, because we did find situations with like curse and agility at the end of the last run, and that might be the only case where agility is like really OP, is if we end up having to go for the curse strat. I will at least keep that in the back of my mind as a possibility, because honestly there's not a whole lot of moves to learn other than what we currently have. Like sure, we might want to replace Thundershock with Thunder at some point, or maybe we want to try return strats in a certain situation, but I think for the most part we just are going to use our main types as coverage for pretty much everything other than the upcoming fight against Jasmine. Still, even that I'm not sure, but we'll get into Chuck's gym first, where we're ready to stunt on these black belt bros. I'm going straight for the Drill Peck. It's one-shots on the Hitmonlee. Out next will come the Hitmonchan, but I think it's going to be more of the same, and with that we should have no issues as we go through the rest of the randos and make our way to Chucky Boy. And of course, Chucky Boy would be at the league if his emails hadn't been allegedly leaked by Roger Goodell, but instead he's exiled down here to Cyanwood, where he's gonna have to fight against Zapdos and get completely stunted on. So Chuck leads off with his Primeape. We're going for the Drill Peck. It is a one-hit KO. Out next comes Poliwrath. We technically have super effective moves either way, but of course Drill Peck is stronger thanks to being super effective. It does over half. He goes Mind Reader, and then we just completely destroy him from there. So we get through Chuck with no damage taken. It was a super easy victory. But now I think the best play before we go even trying to take on Jasmine is to go to the Lake of Rage, complete the Rocket Hideout, and make our way to Price, where yes, he has super effective moves against us, but we've got super effective moves against him. I think we'll all cancel out, but let's see if that's actually the case. So let's just get straight into the Rocket Hideout here and see how it goes, but I don't expect any real issues with any of the rando trainers, so I think we just get straight to the end. And sure enough, we get through everything down in the Rocket Hideout with no issues. In fact, I'm going to go into the final executive without even healing, because I don't think I need to, but let's just see if it actually works out. Maybe this is a mistake. The final executive, of course, leads off with the Arbok. I'm simply going Drill Peck right here. It's not quite a one-hitter, but it will be a two-hit KO. We can just knock it out with a Thundershock after that. Out next comes Murkrow. We'll go Thundershock since it's super effective and get the one-hitter. And Gloom gets hit by the Drill Peck and never stood a chance as we get to level 30. Now I'm going to follow standard procedures here. We're going to just let the Gyarados come out to stunt on these electrodes because we don't want experience if we can avoid it. So Gyarados is also going to be named Bright Dose here as it goes into this fight, and it does have Bright Powder because I've just locked that in my overlay. In fact, it even knows Drill Peck and Thundershock rip. So we're gonna have to go for some Dragon Rages here and just kind of hope that they self-destruct. So I guess we just see what a Drill Peck Gyarados would do. Unfortunately, he gets knocked out. We're just going to let other Pokemon get knocked out too. Hopefully he self-destructs here. And sure enough, it took one reset there at the very end, but we were able to get all three of the electrodes to self-destruct so that we could actually avoid getting any XP there. And with that, we're ready to go take on Price's gym. Obviously, there's nobody to fight in there except Price himself. Of course, on minimum battles, you can go straight to Price without fighting any of these other trainers. And let's just see how this goes with super effective moves against the first two Pokemon, but with a weakness to Ice. So after properly changing the Gyarados out of the top slot, we have our first attempt against Price where we can go for Thundershock here. It's not quite a one-hitter on the seal. It's probably better to go for Drill Peck because it does have a lower defense. Still, we managed to get through just fine. Piloswine comes out next. We'll go Drill Peck, which does about a third. We get hit by Blizzard, but then he misses the next Blizzard. Still, this is like a three-hitter here, so we're going to need another Blizzard miss, which we do get to knock out Piloswine. Dugong comes out last. We'll go for the Drill Peck. We do about half. Aurora Beam takes us to 1 HP remaining, but we do manage to win against Price on the first actual attempt. We We had 2 resets there just because I kept forgetting to switch Gyarados out of the top slot, but it's really not that bad of a fight. It's probably not consistent, but it is possible to get through at this point. But with all that done, now it's time to make our way back to Jasmine, and this is the one I'm scared about. We might have to forget a move in order to learn Mud Slap. We're just gonna have to see how this actually works out though. So I'm gonna try Jasmine once as I am just to see ranges, but I think it's very, very likely that we're going to replace the move Thunder Shock with the Mud Slap. The entire logic being that Drill Peck is our stronger move, and we can get access to Thunder if we really need it, or Thunderbolt after defeating the Elite Four. And I think that's going to be the key to actually getting through at the end. Still, let's test this out and find out if it actually works or not. First up, with our normal moveset against Whitney, we're going to go Drill Peck on the Magnemite, and it does laughably little damage. Of course, only 14 damage there, meaning that this would be a 5-hit KO, and of course we get paralyzed, and there's just not really much that we're going to be able to do here. Thunderbolt is just significantly stronger than anything that we've got, and I think even if we go for Thunder Shock, which should be a little bit stronger, it's still not going to do nearly enough to get through that one. So let's test this instead if we have access to Mud Slap in the place of Thunder Shock. So now testing this one again, we can go for the Mud Slap on the Magnemite, and it does over half. It still manages to hit the first Thunder Wave, but we knock out the first Magnemite at least. That brings out Steelix second, which goes for Rock Throw, because of course we resist Iron Tail. In this case, of course, we will need to set up all of the Mud Slaps on this Pokemon in order to reduce its accuracy as much as humanly possible, and then go for Drill Peck to try to deal damage. It's not going to be great, but that's probably the best that we have at this point. So I think we're resetting for a run where we get a miss from the Thunder Wave. Obviously, it misses 25% of the time when used by the AI, and we're trying to increase that with our Bright Powder plus the fact that we're using Mud Slap. So let's see if it's enough. This time instead we critical hit with the Mud Slap on the first Magnemite, and now we're going to set up our 6 Mud Slaps on the Steelix, just hoping that it misses enough times with Rock Throw that we can actually manage to get through. Rock Throw obviously isn't as inaccurate as it was in Gen 1. Otherwise, I think we would be getting through this much more easily. This time we managed to get the accuracy all the way down at least, and we can go for Drill Peck to see how much damage it does, and it did 10 damage here. So this will be an 11-hit KO with the Drill Peck, assuming we don't get a crit. She has already used the Hyper Potion though, which is pretty good for us. So we just need to keep getting the misses for a lot of turns here, and it might be possible to actually take this Steelix down. We managed to get it down on this attempt here. It's 10 attempts against Jasmine to get that to go, but now we get to the final Magnemite. We can Mud Slap. Yes, it hits Thunder Wave, but we managed to survive and move on the last turn, knocking it out with a second Mud Slap. So Jasmine took 10 attempts. Definitely not pretty, but possible. Still, I think that was insanely lucky that we actually got like 10-11 misses in a row just to be able to knock it out with the Drill Pecks there. That's something that you're probably not going to repeat very often in a normal run, even with all of the Mud Slaps set up and the Bright Powder on. But with that, we are ready to move on towards Claire, where we don't have any type advantage with the electric type moves, obviously, which is why I decided to forget Thunder Shock. I think we're better off just to go ahead and get access to Thunder for the league, but here Drill Peck will be the best play by far, since even against Kingdra, our electric type moves would only be neutrally effective anyway. And here once again, I will get access to Rest just in case I need it, and I'm also going to pick up the vitamins that are available down here, not because I think I'm going to need them in this run, but more because of the fact that I want to sell them for money to help me get enough coins to buy that Thunder by the time we get to the league. But for now, I've made my way over to Blackthorn just so that I can sell some items, and then we will run back over to Goldenrod to fight all of the Team Rocket members and gain a bunch of levels before we actually have to take on the 8th gym. And of course, in the radio tower, we get to the top of the first section to take on Marlboro Man. He's going to lead off with a level 30 Coughing, and the only question here is, do we get the one-hit KO or not, because we don't have a special move on on the moveset right now. We do manage to one-hit KO the first coughing at least, but it looks like that was just due to a critical hit. So we're going to need a little bit of luck here to get through these coughings since we're not getting one-hit KOs. Articuno was getting one-hit KOs here because it was using a same type special move with the Ice Beam. So here we're going to really be dealing with the fact that we're getting a bunch of smoke screens. Healing coming into this fight is probably required. It's also a spot where going Mud Slap then Drill Peck is the better strategy against the coughings, since you're at least giving them a higher chance to miss on the turns that they are possibly going to be able to use a move like Smokescreen on you, and you should also go for one Smokescreen on the Wheezing first, since it's going to be a 3-hit KO. So it takes a couple more attempts for me to get back to Wheezing, but I do Mud Slap first here, and then we're going for 2 Drill Pecks to finish that one off. I'm out of Mud Slaps now, so for the last 2 coughings, I just have to go all in on attack. We get a critical hit Sludge that did pretty good damage, but assuming we don't get a bunch of misses, we should be just fine to get through this time. Still, it's very interesting to find that we are not as consistent as Articuno there, as we now make our way down towards the basement and rival number 4. Now, the rival 4 fight's going to be incredibly interesting. We don't currently have enough money to afford the move Thunder. However, I have not gone through things like Mount Mortar or the Whirl Islands to pick up a bunch of items. I'm pretty sure after going there, we would be able to afford it. The question is, do we need it at this point or not? Let's test it and find out. Our rival, of course, leads off with his Golbat. We're going to go for Drill Peck here and get a 2-hit KO on that Pokemon as we get to level 35. Magnemite comes out next. We're going for Mud Slap. It's going to be a 2-hit KO, but he does manage to land the Thunder Wave on us and 2 Sonic Booms. So we've taken some pretty significant damage. Hunter goes for Shadow Ball, which is actually kind of nice because we're just going to one-shot that Pokemon. We get Feint Attack from Sneasel, but it just barely survives against the Drill Peck. I think that's got us down enough that the Quilava is going to be able to deal enough damage to knock us out. Sure enough, it does. Let's try this one again. Now, I think this fight just hinges on not getting a Thunder Wave from this Magnemite, which is going to be close to a 50-50 shot after we account for the Mud Slap. Still, it looks like we might be able to get through to the final Quilava on more health. We even got the 1-hit KO this time on Sneasel. So here I'm going to Thunder Wave the Quilava, so it's also slower. I'm going to Mud Slap it once to lower its accuracy as well. Now go for Drill Peck and get the victory. So Thunder is not required, at least not for that fight, though we may need it by the time we get to Rival 5. Now via level up, we could learn Detect, but I have the TM in the bag, so I'm just going to avoid that move for now. We'll keep it in the back of our mind though as a strategy if we just need to avoid some hits from our opponents later on in the run. And with the Director rescued, we can get the card key to go through the last part of this section. I don't think any of the randos will give us any issues, so we'll get straight to the final executive and just see how he goes. So he leads off with the Houndour, of course. We can go for Drill Peck to 1-hit KO that Pokemon. Coughing comes out next. It gets completely destroyed. And now we've got Houndoom at level 35. We're going to outspeed. Drill Peck is a 1-hit KO on that Pokemon as well. So really no issues getting through this last part of this section. Honestly, Rival 4 and the Marlboro Man, funny enough, were the difficult trainers in this section of the game. But now we can move on to Claire. But before I do, I have enough money now to actually be able to afford getting access to Thunder. So I'm simply going to do that right now. Obviously, we could combine Thunder with the move Rain Dance if we really need to in order to get access to some guaranteed hits. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind as a strategy in a desperate scenario. Still, I'm not going to learn this move immediately. I'm going to save it for a time where I actually see a need to use it. Yes, Thunder could be our best move against the Kingdra in spite of the fact that it's only neutrally effective there, but it does have a 30% chance to miss. So I'm going to see if Drill Peck gets us through first. Now, the scarier thing is that this last trainer before Claire has a Dragonair, and it was not a 1-hit KO with the Drill Peck. If we had something like Sharp Beak, we might be able to get it to go at this point, but we're not allowed to use any other held items than the Bright Powder, so that's a little bit scary as we come into the gym leader. Still, let's see how this actually works out in practice against Claire's first Dragonair, I'm actually going to Mud Slap once to get it to miss the Thunder Wave, and then we just didn't quite manage to knock it out on the next turn. So it looks like 2 Mud Slaps then into the Drill Peck is the strategy as we get Ice Beamed by the second Dragonair. Now that we're already paralyzed, we might just be best off going all in on the Drill Peck here against the third Dragonair. We even get a miss from Thunderbolt, which is very nice. Now against Kingdra, I'm going to paralyze this Pokemon. Now let's see what Drill Peck does. It does nearly half there, and that could be a matter of ranges. So we might actually have a chance here if we can just get slightly better luck with that Thunder Wave. Now, of course, agility does allow us to regain enough speed to outspeed here. So that's exactly what I've done. As we go back to Kingdra this time with more HP, I'm going to Thunder Wave again on Kingdra. I'm going to give it a Mud Slap to lower its accuracy. We survive with 4 HP from the Surf, and if we just landed one more hit or got a crit, we would have won there. So I think that's basically my strategy. This time we get to the final Kingdra with better health, and if it doesn't manage to knock us out in 2 hits, we should be able to get through there. Sure enough, we do. It took a ton of attempts there on Claire, though. She's really inconsistent. We find in the end that Claire and Jasmine were the super inconsistent gym leader fights in this section of the game. Thunder might have been the better play there on that final Kingdra, even though it's only neutrally effective. It would be getting the same type attack bonus, making it effectively a 180 power move, but I don't think it would have gotten anything better than a 2-hit KO without a crit. And honestly, I don't think Thunder's going to be a great strategy until we get to Lancey Boy at the end of the league, but who knows, we might just need it for ranges at some point. So of course, Claire's going to come and get told by some old guys that in spite of the fact that she beat our Zapdos like 10 times, she actually does have to hand over the badge. And with that, let's make our way over to Kanto for the first time to take on the league, starting with Willy Boy. But before that, we've got to take on rival number 5. He's not nearly as strong in this version as, say, rival 5 in Gen 1 was, but you know, he might pose some degree of challenge with that Magneton. But here I'm going to still keep on picking up items to sell later on, because I think we're going to want to get access to Thunderbolt after we complete the league, which means once again, we're going to need a bunch of money to actually be able to afford the coins to get that TM. And it's honestly because we have to route around to pick up items that we're losing time in this run, and we might actually end up slower than Articuno. But we are now ready at 1 hour and 16 minutes to take on rival number 5, and let's just see how he actually goes. He's going to lead off with Sneasel, of course. I'm just going to Drill Peck this Pokemon and get a 1-hit KO. Magneton comes out next. We Mud Slap, doing about half. He misses Thunder Wave. Still, it's going to be a 3-hitter here, but he doesn't manage to land anything, so we knock it out and get to level 42. Haunter comes out next. We'll Drill Peck and one-shot that Pokemon. Kadabra comes out and also gets Drill Pecked and one-shot. Now Typhlosion. The best play is obviously Drill Peck. It does about half, and we knock it out in 2 hits. So finally, we've got the Golbat. He was just saving it because he thought it was weak against electric moves. Even though we don't know any, we still managed to 2-hit KO and get through with no issues as we make our way now to the league. So I'm going to go into Willy Boy the first time just as I am without even learning Thunder. Let's just see how it actually goes. If it doesn't work out, we could always slap on Thunder after the fact, but I think Drill Peck might just be enough here. We'll attempt number 1. He leads off with Xatu. We go for Drill Peck. It's going to be a 2-hit KO on this Pokemon. We do knock it out and level up to level 43. Jinx comes out next. We go Drill Peck and get the 1-hitter on that one. Exeggutor comes out and is also getting wrecked by the Drill Peck. That brings out Slowbro. We can just Drill Peck right there. Looks like this is going to be a 3-hitter on this Pokemon. It goes Psychic, but doesn't do too much damage. And that brings out the final Xatu. We outspeed and hit the Drill Peck and get a critical hit to one-shot. So we beat Willy Boy on the first attempt. And with that, we're ready to make our way to Koga. Let's see how he goes. Obviously, some of his Pokemon are weak against Drill Peck, and the other ones are at least neutrally affected, so I think this is going to work out just fine. So Koga attempt number 1. On the Ariados, we simply go Drill Peck and get the 1-hitter as we get to level 44. Forretress comes out next and is neutrally affected by this move, but it looks like it's going to be a 3-hit KO. He just goes Swift and Spikes though, which is basically a non-factor. Muck can now get 2-hit KO'd. It goes for the Minimize dies, but still gets wrecked. Crobat comes out next. We Drill Peck, doing about half. This is going to be a 3-hitter as he goes for the full restore. He has gone for 1 double team and he missed with Toxic. And then we get a critical hit to just 2-shot there. Finally, the Venomoth, it's not even weak against the Drill Peck, but we still beat it in a single hit. In case you didn't know, that's obviously a Psychic Flying type. But with that, we're ready to make our way to Bruno, where we have super effective moves against everything except the Onix. And maybe we can still get through Onix. We're just going to have to see. We do have Mud Slap strats if we need them. Let's see if this will actually work out. So Bruno attempt number 1 on the Hitmontop. It goes Quick Attack. I go Drill Peck and get the 1-hitter. We get to level 45 as Onix does in fact come out. I'm going to Drill Peck here to see the range. We did 20 damage, so this is a 5-hit KO. But I think that's our best play. He goes Rock Slide, doing massive damage though, so we might actually have to go for some Mud Slaps there in order to get through. Let's try this one again. Obviously on the Hitmontop, it's still no change. We're going to knock it out in a single hit, but now let's try Mud Slap here. That did 14 damage, but obviously lowers the accuracy of the Onix, which is what we really need here, is to get it to miss some rock slides. He does hit there, but it doesn't do nearly as much damage as the previous one was. Still, we go down due to the Sandstorm. So Onix could really be a major problem for us in this. And I'm honestly not sure what the best play is. Like, if we can get him below like 40 HP, a couple of Drill Pecks will finish that Pokemon off. But we're going to have to get a lot of misses from the Rock Slides to get that to go. We finally managed to knock him out on the 4th attempt with 31 HP remaining. He sends out Hitmonchan. We hit the Drill Peck in 1 shot there. Machamp comes out next. We Drill Peck, and it's not quite a 1-hitter, but he misses the Rock Slide. Now he goes for the Max Potion, but we're just going to knock him out the next turn with a crit, and that brings out Hitmonlee, who never stood a chance. But even after getting through the Onix, if he hits that Rock Slide, we're done. So the Bright Powder definitely came in a little bit handy, helping us get that miss there at that point in the battle. But with that, we've now made it to Karen. Let's just see how she goes. The Umbreon obviously loves to use the Mud Slap strats, but maybe we can find a way through this. So attempt number 1 on Karen, I'm going Drill Peck on the Umbreon. This looks to be a 3-hit KO, and it does Mud Slap and Confuse Ray me, but I do manage to knock it out. Gengar comes out next. We're faster. We hit the Drill Peck and get the 1-hit KO there, so that's perfectly fine as we get to level 46. We outspeed Houndoom as well. This will be a 2-hit KO provided that we hit. Instead, we hit ourselves in confusion, and then we miss our Drill Peck due to the single Mud Slap that we took. We kind of wish that we had a move like Safeguard here. So honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe it's better to Mud Slap once on the Umbreon to lower its accuracy. Now it goes for Feint Attack, which is perfectly fine by me, and it goes for Confuse Ray, but we just want to get through this one with no accuracy drops if possible. Still, if we hit ourselves enough times in confusion, we're gonna lose anyway, just due to the fact that we have so little HP remaining. But this time we get a Spite from the Gengar. It turns out Gengar is not a guaranteed 1-hit KO there. It's a critical hit that's required. So yet again, this isn't looking pretty, but we do survive against Houndoom and knock it out on the next turn. Vileplume comes out next and gets wrecked by the Drill Peck, and now it's all about this Murkrow. We go for Drill Peck, but it goes for Quick Attack first, knocking us out on low health. So at this point, I am interested to see what the range will be if instead we use Thunder. So I'm gonna try this move one time just to see. And honestly, I think I'm gonna keep Mud Slap on the moveset for now because it will also help us against Surge. So I'm gonna forget Thunder Wave. This might be a massive mistake because sure, there could be spots where having our opponent be paralyzed and have a chance to not move could help us, but we're generally going to outspeed everything anyway. I think we're going to be changing up our moveset a little bit at the end, so I'm just going to go for this for now. And let's just see what Thunder does, for example, against this Umbreon. Thunder is obviously our strongest same type move, and we get a critical hit 1-hit KO on that Pokemon. Now we can go for Thunder on Gengar, which also 1-hit KOs. Houndoom, I think it's probably going to be a 2-hitter either way, so I'm going to go for the Drill Peck here. He gets a critical hit on me after that, but that's perfectly fine. We'll still knock that one out. Murkrow comes out, we go for Thunder and get the 1-hitter on it, and that brings out Vileplume, where we can just go Drill Peck and get the easy victory now against Karen. So Thunder definitely helped. We also had a lot of luck actually hitting everything, which is a nice change of pace, but we'll take it as we now make our way to Lancey Boy. And honestly, honestly, Articuno had a better run through the league, I felt, except for maybe Karen. The rest of the time, I felt like Articuno was really consistent here with the Bright Powder. Definitely better against Bruno's Onix. But maybe we make up for that right here on the champion Lance with our Zapdos. So let's just see how this actually goes. So Lancey Boy, of course, leads off with his Gyarados. And I want to see if it's going to go Rain Dance here. So I'm going to set up Agility once. Sure enough, it does go Rain Dance, and we like that because now Thunder's guaranteed to hit. We can just one-hit KO that Pokemon. The Dragonite comes out. We will go Thunder here as well. This is going to be a 2-hit KO. And now he goes Blizzard, which is super effective. Obviously, a crit will one-hit KO on these Dragonites, but we just could not manage to actually move. Still here, I think I'm just going to Drill Peck the Gyarados once as it goes for the Rain Dance and then knock it out the next turn. Now against the Dragonite, let's also just see what the range is with the Drill Peck. This looks like it's going to be a 2-hit KO if we go Drill Peck then Thunder. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for 1 Thunder and then go for the Drill Peck. We even managed to paralyze the Dragonite here. We didn't move though, and it hit us with a Hyper Beam, which is pretty bad. Aerodactyl is out next, and obviously if we're slower, the Rock Slide's just going to end us. So let's just try this one again. I think Agility might be the play just due to the fact that Aerodactyl is pretty fast. And if we do get paralyzed, we might want to be able to increase our speed here. This time we paralyze the first Dragonite, and now I'm going to set up Agility to regain speed so that we can actually outspeed things later on in the run. We are now faster than the second Dragonite, even though we were paralyzed. So it's just a matter of actually hitting our moves. We do manage to knock that one out. Aerodactyl comes out now. We missed Thunder. If we hit, I think we one-hit KO that Pokemon. Still, this is going to require a lot of luck with accuracy to get through. A few attempts later, we are back to Aerodactyl, only to be fully paralyzed again. Now, we have to keep in mind that there is the possibility that these Dragonites miss with the Thunder Wave, or that we get a crit like that to just one-hit KO them. And in either case, we're perfectly fine with that result. It's just going to be incredibly inconsistent because we have no further way to lower their accuracy. This time we do manage to knock out that Aerodactyl though, bringing out the last Dragonite. It goes Outrage and simply knocks us out. This time we got through both of those Dragonites without getting Thunder Waved though. So now we're to the Aerodactyl. We're faster and we one-hit KO. That brings out the final Dragonite, which we hit with Thunder and critical hit to one-shot. And finally he sends out Charizard. We miss Thunder. It hits Flamethrower. But now we hit the Thunder and that ends it. So it took 9 attempts to beat Lance there. He's very inconsistent, but in an hour, 33 minutes, 25 seconds, we have managed to beat the champion and get through all of Johto. Now we've got to get to Kanto and see how we do against all of the Kantonian gym leaders. But for now, Bright Powder Zapdos does beat all of Kanto on minimum battles. It was not always pretty though. I think Articuno was actually better overall in that section. Obviously, Jasmine was a little bit random for both of them, but I felt like overall Articuno was more straightforward with the Ice Beam strats than what we were dealing with here with our Zapdos. Still, we have reached the post game. It's time to pick up a bunch of items. Maybe we can manage to afford to get our hands on Thunderbolt, and that might just improve this run quite a bit. Still, I'm not sure if Thunderbolt is the better play or if Thunder is what we need to stick with as we go to the late game. So for now, I'm just gonna go with my moveset as is, but I will pick up a bunch of items just in case. And after selling a bunch of items, we're pretty close to being able to afford the move tutor for Thunderbolt. But again, I'm just gonna take the battles that are required at this point, and we'll go back and get that move if we actually need it. For now though, let's just complete the SS Aqua quest and then make our way over to Kanto, where honestly Misty might be the best place to start. Still on the way up, I will take on Sabrina and Erica just because Erica should also be incredibly easily, but I'm going to put off Lieutenant Surge in this one until we gain a few more levels because honestly his Magneton might be an issue, especially if if we get paralyzed. So here, let's try Sabrina first. In fact, I'm just going to go Drill Peck on the Espeon. It's going to be a 2-hit KO as it goes Sand Attack though. Out next comes Mr. Mime. We miss our Drill Peck. We managed to hit the next one after that, but it's not a one-hitter on this Pokemon. Still, we managed to knock it out a couple turns after that, and we've made it to the Alakazam, but it has a Reflect Up. Psychic does massive damage. Still, it looks like we're going to survive, provided that we don't miss, and we do get the luck to get through and get to level 49. So we beat Sabrina on the first attempt, but that was not pretty. Reflect is obviously a very good strategy there from her in order to reduce our odds of winning. But now let's make our way over to Celadon. We'll get access to the move Curse here so that we can have it in the bag for later in this challenge. We might need it. Curse with the Drill Peck strats might be the way to go. We already know Curse plus Agility can be incredibly OP, but we don't have a situation like the Articuno where we can just like freeze an opponent to get all the setup off, which is the big difference with this Zapdos. Still, we'll worry about all of that later as we come into Erica's gym, where Drill Peck should absolutely crush everything. Even without healing, I think this is just going to be a bunch of one-hit KOs. Sure enough, we get through all the randos in here, so let's take on Erica herself. Yet again, I'm not even going to bother healing. Let's see how this goes. She leads off with Tangela. We go Drill Peck. We get the one-hit KO. Out next comes Victory Bell. It is going to be more of the same. We get the level up to level 50. Jump Bluff comes out next and gets completely wrecked. And that brings out Blossom. We hit the Drill Peck, and it was never in question. We came in with 11 HP, and we leveled up to end up at 15 HP. She just simply never even had a chance to damage Zapdos. But with that part done, we have now made it up north where we can break up Misty's date right here. She's going to run back to the gym, and we have a chance to go stunt on her with our Zapdos. So let's get straight to her and see if we can manage the win here. Misty, of course, leads off with Golduck. I'm going straight for Thunder on this Pokemon, getting a one-hit KO as we get to level 52. She sends out Quagsire second, which will just Drill Peck. It's going to be a two-hitter, and Amnesia does nothing against us. Lapras is out next. We hit Thunder, and that goes down in a single hit. Finally, Starmie, we outspeed. Thunder one-shots. It was an easy first attempt victory, this time on Misty. And with that whole little side quest done, we're ready to make our way over to wake up the Snorlax. I'm going to try Surgy Boy one time just to see if he's possible at this point, but otherwise I think we make our way down towards Blaine and Janine. Still, we won't know till we try, so it's time for our first attempt against Surge. He, of course, leads off with the Raichu. Let's just see what we do with our different moves here. Obviously, Thunder is the strongest move in this situation, but it's not going to be a one-hit KO. It's going to take 2 hits to knock this one out. I'm going to set up Agility here so that I can get back to outspeeding, but Thunder with neutral effectiveness is just doing a lot of damage. Electrode comes out next and does not know any electric type moves though. I'll try Drill Peck, and this looks like it's going to be a 2-hit KO with this move. Now we get the Magneton, which of course we have to try to use Mud Slap on, but it Zap Cannons and we lose on that one. Let's try this one again. So next attempt, I'm going to try a Mud Slap on the Raichu first. It still manages the Thunder Wave. I think in that case, we just have to go for the reset. This time we get through with no status, bringing us to Electrode again. Thunder is our strongest move here, but Drill Peck is just a lot more accurate. So I think 2 Drill Pecks is the way to go since he is going to double team there. That brings us to the Magneton again, but this time we can go Mud Slap and we get a critical hit 1-hit KO. Electrode number 2 comes out, so we'll stick with the Drill Peck here, trying to knock it out nice and quick. That brings us to the final Electabuzz. I'm going to go Thunder once. We did pretty good damage, and now let's go for the Drill Peck, and it is enough to knock that Pokemon out. So Surge is possible. He's not perfectly consistent. You're really hoping not to get paralyzed there just because it ends up with a lot of wasted turns. But with that done, we're ready to wake up Snorlax and make our way through to the second half of Kanto. And here we can come talk to Blue, but he's not really that scared. He's just going to go back to the gym, knowing that we're going to come challenge him later. That fight could be really tough with his Rhydon. I'm not sure. We might need to go for Curse Strats, and it might even be a situation where we end up going for Steel Wing there. in order to actually get through that fight. But now I will come to Blaine's gym and try him one time. Keep in mind, Magcargo does not have any resistance against electric type moves, so I think this might work out, but let's just see. So Blaney Boy attempt number 1, we're going for Thunder on Magcargo, and we get a nice easy one-hit KO. On the Magmar, I will go for the Drill Peck, and we still get a one-hitter with that. Rapidash is out last. We go for the Drill Peck. It's going to be a two-hitter, but Fire Blast did not do enough. He can use the max potion, but it doesn't matter. We just win on the next attempt. Blaney Boy, no issue. Now we can go and beat up on Janine as well just to get another easy victory. And we do have a badge boost in our electric type moves now from Lieutenant Surge, so we do at least have a little bit of a boost to both of our same type attack bonus to both of our same types here. And obviously Janine's going to be a joke, so let's just see how easily we get through. She leads off with the Crobat. I'm just going for Drill Peck here. It's enough to one-hit KO. Weezing comes out next. It's obviously got lowered special, so I'm going to go for the Thunder here. And unfortunately, we're just missing all the Thunders. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure this is a one-hit KO on these two Weezings as well. Sure enough, we knock them out after that. Venomoth comes out. We go Drill Peck and just wreck it. And that brings out the Ariados, which also never stood a chance. So we get through nice and easy on Janine. She had the Toxicon. She was trying to cheese there, but it just did not work out for her. So with that, we have to take on Brock and we have to take on Blue. And I'm going to try Brocky Boy first because while yes, he has more Pokemon that resist all of our moves, he also has lower level Pokemon. So they're more likely to go down as we try to chip him down here. Still, we might need to go for a move like Steel Wing rather than Mud Slap at this point. Let's just test this out though. So Brock attempt number 1, he leads off with the Graveler. I'm going to Mud Slap on this Pokemon. We get a critical hit with the first Mud Slap. That's going to help break up its rollouts. He goes for Rock Slide after that instead, but we still knock it out in 3 hits. Onix comes out next. We're going to stick with the same Mud Slap strat here, basically trying to repeat what we did against Bruno. It looks like we're getting a better range here at least, but he does Hyper Potion here, which is bad for us. Finally, the Sandstorm does subside, but he's just going to set it up again, I think. And if he does, we're probably getting wrecked. We actually do manage to get through though. That brings out the Rhyhorn, but we have no Mud Slaps left. So he's just going to knock us out pretty easily, I think. Unless we get a miss from the Fury attack. Oh, that was lucky. Now Kabutops comes out. We're going Thunder and we miss, so we lose. Still, this is clearly a winnable fight. It's just not a very consistent fight. This time we get a nice critical hit on the Onix though, taking it down to about half health with a Drill Peck. And then we crit a second turn in a row. And with that, we should be able to get through this Pokemon much better than we did last time. That brings us back to the Rhyhorn, where we're just going to stick with the Drill Peck here. Our level advantage is doing massive work for us, and that is going to allow us to knock out that Rhyhorn. Now back to Thunder for Kabutops. It's a one-hitter as we get to level 55. Amistar comes out and goes Spike Cannon, and we're just missing so many Thunders, but if we can finally hit, we will win. Unfortunately, he chipped us down and then Surf knocked us out. Still, that was with 3 Thunder misses in a row, so yet again, clearly a possible fight. We just need better luck than that. But honestly, after quite a few attempts, I'm starting to think that Steel Wing is the way to go. It's going to be stronger than any of our other moves here and super effective against all of these Pokemon. So I'm going to replace Thunder with Steel Wing because I think we can get access to Thunderbolt at this point. And obviously Thunder doesn't do enough for us in this fight. I don't think for it to be that useful. Steel Wing will just be super effective against everything. So let's just see how that affects ranges in this fight. Now against the Graveler, we can go Steel Wing turn 1 and we nearly get a one-hit KO. We'll just knock it out with a Mud Slap after that. That brings out the Onix next. We go Steel Wing. It's going to be a 2-hitter here as he goes for the Sandstorm. Yes, he can go for the Hyper Potion, but we're just going to knock him out on the next turn after that. That brings out the Rhyhorn, against whom we can also go Steel Wing. It's going to be a 2-hitter. Still not too bad to get through that Pokemon. Now Kabutops obviously is only neutrally affected by the Steel Wing here, and this is going to be a 3-hitter, so that's where it actually becomes a problem, and we would prefer to have Thunder instead of Mud Slap. So I'm going to back up here and instead replace Mud Slap with Steel Wing, and let's see how this goes now. Obviously, Steel Wing is going to help on the first 3 Pokemon in this one. We don't even get a Sandstorm this time, which is really good. And that's basically got us in the position where we know we're going to knock out these Pokemon nice and easy. Now we just need to land 2 Thunders. Kabutops goes down nice and easy, and that brings out the Amistar. Once again, we're missing against Amistar 3 times in a row, but we landed the 4th, and finally we managed to win. We obviously could have won earlier. We just would have needed a lot more luck, but that fight is ultimately possible on minimum battles with this Zapdos. And with that done, there's only 1 trainer left to take on before we go to the final battle with Red, and that is, of course, Blue. He has a very nice, big, diverse team. We don't really have a whole lot of weaknesses here, though, so let's just see if we can actually get it to work. So Blue attempt number 1, we go for Thunder on the Pidgeot, and that is a 1-hit KO. Out next, he sends the Rhydon. We're going for Steel Wing, and this is looking like it might be a 3 or 4-hit KO, and we miss Steel Wing there. Then the Rock Slide just does massive damage. We managed to knock that Pokemon out, but the Sandstorm is just going to knock us out from there. This time he doesn't go Sandstorm the first turn with the Rhydon though, so we're going to knock him out much more easily. That brings out Alakazam, against whom we can go for Drill Peck, and that is a 1-hit KO. Arcanine comes out next. Thunder is obviously our strongest move. We miss, unfortunately, and then Sandstorm knocks us out. Now, I've heard from people that whenever an opponent has a multi-hit move like the Fury attack here, there's always a chance that the opponent will use that. That's just the way that the AI is made in this generation. So we have to keep in mind that Rhydon could go for a move like that that's not as effective against our Pokemon. Here instead he hits 1 Rock Slide but then misses the second one, and that's also perfectly fine with me. Back to the Arcanine. Let's see what Thunder does on this Pokemon. It's not a 1-hitter, and we get knocked out by a Flamethrower, so that's good to know that we will need 2 hits at least on the Arcanine. This time, once again, we get a Fury attack and Sandstorm there from that Rhydon, and that Sandstorm does guarantee that the Drill Peck will one-shot there against the Alakazam at least. But now as we get back to Arcanine, I'm going to go for Drill Peck. It does about half, but obviously we're just going to lose in that situation when it then goes for the Flamethrower. A couple of attempts later, we're to the Arcanine on slightly better HP. We managed to survive the Flamethrower there, but Extreme Speed knocks us out after that. This is a place where we really wish that we had leftovers instead, since that would give us the chance that we would need in order to survive here. As it stands, we just end up after Flamethrower with 2 low HP, and then we get knocked out on the next turn, but we do have an 8% chance for that move to miss. This time we get no Sandstorm and no Rock Slide from the Rhydon though. We one-shot against the Alakazam. We can now Drill Peck on the Arcanine. We did less damage though, so I'm going to go for Thunder here, and we got the miss that we needed. Now we can go Drill Peck on Exeggutor. This is actually a 2-hit KO though. We managed to knock it out though, and that brings out the final Gyarados. We just need to land Thunder, and just like that, we finally managed the victory against Blue. It was not pretty. I was debating going for the Curse strat right there, since we would have a pretty easy setup on the first Pidgeot, but in the end it wasn't required. We were able to win just like this. So now it's time to go talk to Professor Oak, and we have to make our way to the champion Red here at the end of the game, and I'm really nervous about this one because we just don't have all of the advantages that I felt like we had with the Articuno. We don't have the chance to freeze. We don't still have Mud Slap on the moveset. We're effectively running our best moves. We might need Rain Dance here in order to guarantee hits, but that could also backfire on us pretty hard. We might need to set up Curse and Agility, but yet again, where do we get the easy setup with that in this fight? I'm just not sure how this is actually going to work out. Still, I'm going to test out everything. I think the first thing that we have to do though is slam all 10 rare candies, because we saw previously with Articuno that they were required. I'm just pretty sure that they're going to be required with all of these slow level up Pokemon, except maybe Mewtwo. Mewtwo might be able to find a way through here without the rare candies. I just highly doubt any of these other Pokemon are getting through with this big of a level disparity. So I'm just going to slam the rare candies right here. That will get us to level 56 in the final fight against Red. We could learn Light Screen here. I'm just not sure that it's actually worthwhile to do so. Once again, tell me if you think that's a mistake in the comments, but I'm just going to go with this strategy, and if this fails, we may may start investigating other things, but we won't know till we try. So red attempt number 1. First up, we've got the Pikachu. We are already faster than Pikachu. Thunder is technically our strongest move, and a crit does one-shot there. That brings out the Espeon, which has lower defense, so I'm going for Drill Peck. This is going to be a 2-hit KO. It goes for Reflect, but we knock it out after that. That brings out the Snorlax, where I can go Thunder and get the Paralysis. It goes for Amnesia here, of course, which is a very smart play. And now Body Slam. The problem is that it had Reflect up, but now the Reflect fades, so I do knock that Pokemon out. Blastoise comes out next. We go Thunder and get the 1-hit KO. That's going to bring out Charizard. We hit Thunder here as well, getting the 1-hitter. And finally, Venusaur will go for Drill Peck. And this is going to be a 2-hitter, but it goes for Sunny Day. And we actually beat Red on the first attempt. Are you kidding me? I mean, obviously we have super effective moves against the 3 Kanto starters. I was just worried about how we were going to get there. The Snorlax has the potential to be a wall, but even with Reflect and it using Amnesia, we were actually able to get through that Pokemon with a little bit of luck, I feel like, but still not terrible to get through there. Zapdos beats the entire game in 2 hours, 12 minutes. I'm going to have to go back and double check my time with the Articuno here. And in the end, Articuno was 2 hours and 18 minutes. And it finished with 58 resets, which is right there with this one. Now, we actually would have had fewer resets on the Articuno run because I had more spots where I reset in that one, I believe, due to just routing mistakes. However, we didn't really have to go as hard on TMs in this one, I don't feel like. And Articuno, once it got to Kanto, had a lot more situations where it had to go all in order to beat certain trainers. It had trouble with Misty, it had trouble with Red. Here, we didn't really have much trouble with the Kanto gym leaders other than Lieutenant Surge, which Articuno struggled with too. So at the end of the day, I actually think that Zapdos compares pretty favorably there and was the better of the Kanto birds. But tell me what you think down below. And with that, hey, minimum battles with a Zapdos, but I'm not sure how it's actually going to do in the end in our minimum battles series when it doesn't start the game with Drill Peck. We'll just have to see. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Later.